Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and we're joined here tonight in the studio by engineer Mohamed Selim Salman, the renewable energy consultant and member of the board of directors at the Arab Council for Sustainable Energy. Engineer Salman, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much for hosting. Yes.
Sir, now, before we start talking about renewable energy and everything that is related to energy, let's start talking about the electrical and power outages that the country has been suffering from over the past couple of months. Now, we already established that we have 3 of the biggest electrical power plants in the world by Siemens, and we also have the Bin Ben power plant, also the Ras Gharib one. So we do, and we're talking about exporting electrical energy. So how come we are suffering from power outages over the summer period?
Okay, nice.
In very simple terms.
Yes, I hope so. I hope so. Really, I didn't expect such a question, but I will answer. Okay. Regarding, I think it is now over. It's the grid now has been stabled, and also the generation has fed with enough or sufficient fuel. So there is, I think it's stopped now, or at a minimum now. Okay, but the point in what have been done, or what we have suffered due to the lack of sufficient fuel. Okay, so, let me explain how does it work. The power plant generate electricity based on the fuel supply coming to the power plant. Okay, if the fuel supply is not sufficient to meet the generation needs or demand, then there is a problem, and maybe the power plant itself can shut down. And then at that time, maybe it's completely shut down and completely blackout. So what the people do, or the Minister of Electricity and the employees of that, what they should do, they should make load shedding in a certain values and a certain geographical areas, then to minimize the load based on the fuel supply. Okay? Okay. And by calculation, really, I make a certain solution for that. It's not a big issue if we can start this job as early as possible. It is around 3,000 megawatt for 2 hours. Okay, and I make certain, really, let me explain it in a clear area here. Okay, it is the solution here. Okay, it's easy now to consider it. If we can say 3,000 megawatt off with 2 hours, that means 1,140 megawatt hours. This is the shortage of the power supply, okay, or energy supply. That how we can compensate this value. Okay, we can compensate this by 1 giga of PV system. Okay, and can be this can be compensated. And 1 giga is a big issue, really. It's of PV system, but we can also add some wind energy with it, and already we have a certain contracts to 500 megawatt PV system, and also 200 megawatt with Aqua also. So we have around 700 megawatt already signed the contract. Okay, regarding to the solar. Also for wind, we have around 500 megawatt is already contracted, and also a lot of gigawatts have been signed as MOU. if we replace these values of renewable energy to the grid, then we can save the fuel that we need, and at that time we can increase the penetration of renewable energy to the grid and stop the outages. We should start and accelerate the job from now, because the coming summer maybe the value of growth of load will be higher. Really, in the previous 5 years,
yes,
the peak load was not that growth at big value. Normally, the growth rate around from 3 to 5%. And also in this year, it's around 5%. The highest peak load, or the peak load was...
What caused this increase in the demand?
The growth in the country. In the country also, the industry, and also the population and connection, also the illegal connection and thieves. All issues, such issues should be considered with the distribution, because this is the end user should control. Demand side management should be considered in with the distribution companies, okay, to save energy, which will lead to save fuel supply to the power plant. Okay.
Engineer Salman, now, so if we aim to make up for the 1 gigawatts in terms of using renewable, renewable energy, so we will be depending on solar energy, and we will be depending on wind energy as well. But this is a process that will probably take some time. So is there some sort of a temporary solution that we can start applying, as in maybe distribution, redistributing the power network around the country, having some sort of a privatization, or, as you've mentioned before, a liberalization of the electrical power, have bonds maybe for this sector?
I want to add one point regarding to the PV system, which is immediate action. It's within months. It's not, doesn't need a long time.
Yes.
Which is the small size PV units that can be installed on houses or in compounds, okay? And really, I provide such a study to the Parliament, to the Parliament Shuyukh, okay? The head of the Committee of Energy. We provided this study that if we install 10 kilowatt PV system, 10 kilowatt peak PV system all over the countries, it will collect a lot for mosques, for hospitals, for governmental buildings, for compounds, villas, and the solar PV system. Or solar pump, solar for irrigation. This is also should be used. No solar pump or no pump should use electricity now, because at a minimum. But we can use the PV system, because this is the easiest one and the cheapest one. If we start this strategy as soon as possible, and I wish by this discussion we find an investor to say, okay, we can cover the area, then it will be solved immediately, really. And also the temperature now is become better. Then I think and I hope that no more outages. But in the same time, to save fuel, we should use this job as soon as possible. Beside this PV system on the rooftop PV system, we can make also additional issue regarding to the energy efficiency. Energy efficiency for the factories, for the hospitals, for governmental buildings, for hotels, all this, okay? One more point. Once we said renewable energy, that does not mean only power plants, big farm or wind farm or windmills and PV farms, or rooftop PV system, but also we can use renewable energy and absorption system for air conditioning and cooling. You know, air conditioning and cooling take a lot of energy from the grid and will cost much. Once we compensate this air conditioning with the absorption system, which can be fed by renewable energy, then we also save fuel. And this is very important factor. Okay? So we hope that we have a lot of solution, but we want to start it. Yes.
Well, let's focus now on renewable energy. Now, everybody knows the Ras Gharib power plant responsible for wind energy, and the Bin Ben one in Upper Egypt for the solar energy. And we are looking forward to expanding our productivity of renewable energy, and it's the language of the world now. Everybody's trying to become environmentally friendly, green energy, green economy. So we're talking about solar energy, talking about wind energy, also green hydrogen, green ammonia, and they seem to be, I mean, they are interconnected one way or another, but we need to expand on the productivity of this. So the first question is, how much do we have, or how much do we know the know-how, the expertise, and the finances to expand these, the productivity of renewable energy, of green ammonia, green hydrogen, especially that electrical, I mean, part of the whole process is electrolysis, which you still need electricity for it. So how expensive can it be, and how feasible is it to actually try and expand to produce renewable energy?
Okay, I'll tell you the truth, really, okay, as usual. And most of who see me, yes, I am clear answer in that. We have energy mix and we have a strategy, okay, and it should be 20% by 2020 and almost achieved, not 100% achieved, but almost achieved, and by 2030 should be 2035 should be 42, and now upgraded to 60.
Yes.
So this is if it is this is the target. This is the target of renewable energy penetration. This needs huge amount of money. If it is done by the same way of Bin Ben, I believe that it is not a solution, because it will be a load or peers on the transmission company. And we are going, or the country or the strategy now, to liberate the sector. And this can be done if PPA can be done within the liberalization of the sector. If it is done by this, it will be helpful, because now if you make this PPA from the investors with the EETC, and the EETC, he will be the operator of the system. Then it is we are looking for competition, and we are looking for competitive price of kilowatt hours. But if you fix this with huge amount of gigawatts with a certain value, then where's the competition will be? So we hope that it can be done within the liberalization of the sector. And really, the good news that I can tell you now, there is a grant from EBRD with the Egypt era to make a study, and already the documentation for this process is now on the internet or the website of Egypt era for a public hearing and to make any revising, and this is good point for that. So once done by this way, then we can save money, and also the country will not pay such a huge value, and will be invested, and the environment will be better for all. Okay?
Yes.
So we hope so.
Engineer Salman, now, so we are trying to mix and diversify our resources for renewable energy, be it green ammonia, hydrogen, solar, and wind. But a lot of observers and analysts are saying, well, the Bin Ben plant is really good, solar energy, the wind plants in Ras Gharib, but the problem of the energy generated and produced by these plants is that it really targets the area around these plants, and you really can't afford to distribute it all over the country. So is it feasible, or trying to expand all the wind and solar plants, but still we won't be able to manage to distribute it all over the country? Or are we working on expanding the grid? And should we depend on this more than green hydrogen and green ammonia if they are a bit cheaper?
I want to tell one issue regarding to the generation distribution, or distributed generation. Distributed generation. This is with the small sizes and utility sizes can be helpful and will be at the end user of electricity. This also save money, and in the same time makes the customer self-using or self-generation of him. Regarding to the Bin Ben or the huge farms to be installed at a certain area and connected to the grid, there is a losses in the process. The losses regarding in transmission and losses in distribution. And the total of these losses is around, I wouldn't like to say if it is around the 20%. Okay, it's average one. Yes. Okay, some companies higher than 20% and some less than 20%. But this is means that 1/5 of the electricity
produced
of the produced electricity has been lost. So work on the end user. This is very helpful. Regarding to the green hydrogen, once make a big power plants or renewable plants like wind or solar, then the off-taker make it who will use it instead of PPA with the EETC. And EETC will sell again to this using of hydrogen. Even we don't know when the hydrogen electrolyzers will start. One issue also, the good news that 3 days ago we have filling one ship, a green ship has been filled with the green methanol in the port of East Port Said, and this is also good news. But this methanol, green methanol, does not generated from Egypt because we haven't such system. In future it will be, okay? But the process itself and logistics is there. Then we succeeded in one portion, and we need to succeed in the balance of supply chain of the green methanol or green ammonia, because the green methanol or green ammonia can be stored and can be transported better than the hydrogen itself.
Yes.
I know that the visibility of the generation of hydrogen so far needs more technologies, and it will be competitive maybe sooner.
Yes. Well, why can't we sort of have multinational companies or foreign investors trying to work and pitch in their offer to actually try and produce methanol and produce hydrogen and start off this sort of competition? Or maybe this would encourage the private sector and domestic companies here to start getting and learning the know-how, the expertise of it, and maybe on the long run, in 10 or 15 years' time, we would be able to produce our own methanol, to produce liquid hydrogen, and not just liquefying other sources of energy.
Really, it's in process and takes time. But once the green methanol has been stored or founded at our area by a certain supplier of this green methanol, then he can also start for generate hydrogen and then generate green methanol. But if we can build the renewable energy at Red Sea and also West Bank of Nile and Sohag and this area, we should submit or transmit this huge amount of electricity to the area of hydrogen production. So this is also infrastructure.
Yes.
It needs to be infrastructure, and a lot of payment will be considered. So all this strategy and this infrastructure should be considered from now. Okay, and also we can also maybe the production of hydrogen can be started at the area or near the area of generation of renewable energy. So this can be trade off and make it a best scenario to be used or utilized in this area. And this can be done with also with the investors.
Well, something that maybe, I mean, a lot of observers are also saying, well, one of the main issues or difficulties with liquid hydrogen or producing hydrogen is actually the storage of it, because you would need some sort of a salty soil, a salty ground. So everybody starts thinking of the Western Desert near Siwa Oasis or certain areas around the Red Sea, and it could prove difficult to actually manage to store liquid hydrogen. Will this be a problem, and if so, how can that be solved?
Regarding to the hydrogen itself, the hydrogen it's also generated in electric power plants for cooling generators. It's hydrogen, we have the expertise for that, how we handled it. But the point that how we can, the physicals, the physics of properties, the properties physicals of the hydrogen, you cannot transmit the to long time. But if you make it liquefied hydrogen, that means cooling, and this means around maybe 20% or 25% of hydrogen you will consume to reach the balance. So the best one is the green methanol or green ammonia. It will be better, but visibility should be provided by the investor himself. Then he can start and do the job. If it is salty or how we can use it, this is investor job, really.
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, as Engineer Salman has mentioned, well, Egypt is looking forward to about 42% dependence on renewable energy by 2035 and hopefully 60% by 2040. Let's check out this report and we'll be right back.